Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Last week, we had that huge Marvel announcement where they released the cast for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday in the most stupidly successful way. Say what you will, 257 million views. Yes, but if you do a little bit of research, you'll learn that amongst those views, most of them were people tuning in for like 10 minutes, realizing what the hell was going on, and then tuning out. But you accumulate that all together between all of the MCU fans, and it seems like a lot. Now, granted, there are streamers that watch the entirety of it, me being one of them, although I couldn't stream alongside it and talk to you guys about it because I was at work while it was happening. But fortunately, I work a desk job where I'm in sales, and if it's slow, I'm just kind of on YouTube, and that day it was slow. So I was able to watch like 95% of it live. I just couldn't talk about it. And I said it was the most stupidly successful thing they've ever done because on one hand, it was successful. A lot of people watched it, and exactly what they wanted to happen happened. It dominated the news media for a couple hours while it was happening, and it's all anyone talked about. And regardless of whether you hated it or not, you were talking about it. Bad publicity is still publicity, and that's exactly what happened. I don't think they went into it saying, oh, I don't care if people hate this. That's clearly not what they wanted. They thought they had something really awesome on their hands, but nonetheless, it made them a lot of money and it was very successful for them. The reason why I call it stupid is because it was fucking stupid. There are people that watched it that I've seen online that were like, oh, you know, it's really not that big a deal. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed watching it. And it's like, there are people online that were like, oh, you know, 257 million views, call it stupid, but it was super popular, so it can't be that stupid. And it's like, guys, listen, it could have been static on a screen. It could have been a staticky old school TV, just static for 12 minutes, and then for 5 seconds it shows the name of a cast member, and then goes back to static for 12 minutes. And people are literally sitting there watching static, and it would have been the same thing. It would have gotten the same amount of views from the same amount of people. It would have built the same amount of hype. Of course, everyone's gonna be hyped because you're getting the cast for the next Avengers film. But that doesn't mean that it was necessarily a good thing. I missed the days where Kevin Feige just got on stage and announced the actors and they all came out. That would have been infinitely cooler. Anything else would have been infinitely cooler than watching a chair. Because for those of you who don't know, essentially what they did was to announce the cast of Avengers Doomsday, they had someone bring out a chair, and on the back of the director's chair, it had the actor's name. And then it would hold on the chair for 12 minutes. And after 12 minutes, the camera would pan slowly to the right and reveal the next chair with that actor's name. And then it would hold for 12 minutes. And this went on for 4.5 hours over the course of like 25, 26, or 27 actors in entirety in this film. And I know what they were thinking before they did this. They were like, oh, listen, let's do it this way where we show a chair and hold for 12 minutes, and that'll give all these streamers and news outlets time to make articles about that cast member in the movie and what that could mean. And it'll give streamers 12 minutes to go on their channel and talk about, oh, Chris Hemsworth's in Doomsday. Now let's speculate about what his role is going to be in this film. Oh, Vanessa Kirby's in it. I wonder if him and Chris Hemsworth are going to be on the screen together and talk. And oh, Ant-Man's in it. I wonder what role he's going to have. And it's going to give streamers a chance to really dissect it and pick it apart and talk about it. But that's something that I could do in 2 minutes. The second I saw Chris Hemsworth and Vanessa Kirby, I could briefly touch upon the interaction I think they're going to have based off of the comics and the roles I think they're going to have in a movie, but that does not take 12 minutes to do. 12 minutes is a long time to talk about something, and I don't think they fully realize that. I think this should have been an hour long, and it should have been with the cast coming out and sitting down on the chairs and then giving a brief description about their role and everything that led up to this. I think it would have been really cool if like Marvel did some fun stuff. If they didn't want to bring out the cast, they could have put stats above their name. Like, here's Paul Rudd. This is his power level in relation to Doomsday. This is his power level. What could Ant-Man do? What tricks does he have up his sleeve that can give him an upper hand in fighting Doomsday? But they didn't do anything like that. They had to sit there and watch chairs for 4.5 hours. And yeah, I'm excited. James fucking Marsden's coming back, and he was punked hard as Cyclops. Like, ridiculous. He never got the chance to be the leader that he was supposed to be. And then he was killed off in the third one because he decided to go off and be in Superman Returns as Lois Lane's love interest that isn't Superman. They must have paid him a lot of money for that. I don't know why he'd back out of Cyclops. And for no other reason that he knew he was mistreated as Cyclops. But we're going to get him back now. And if it's anything like what they did with Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine, I am so excited to see James Marsden don the iconic, authentic Cyclops costume and not that stupid black leather costume that they had in the original X-Men films, and see him get his day, see him get a redemption arc where he has something cool to do and be the leader of this team.
To me, my X-Men.
I'm excited to see him come back with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen as Professor X and Magneto. I'm excited about everything they announced with this stupidly successful thing. But I just wish they did it in a way that wasn't so boring. When Robert Downey Jr. came out as Doom, the audience exploded with excitement. Nobody was exploding with excitement over the reveal of a new chair. I'm sure I've seen people like, oh yay, Ian McKellen's coming back. And then it kind of just died down as they realized they had to watch Chair for another 11 minutes and 55 seconds. Now that being said, again, yes, it's successful. I'm not saying it's not. I just think that it was stupid and there was an infinite amount of possibilities that they could have taken that in a different direction and made it way more exciting for the fans that are the people you want to impress here, where the people showing up and paying money to see this movie. The least you could do is give us something that doesn't feel like we're watching paint dry. But anyway, that being said, I want to briefly touch upon the cast of the film. So we have Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Captain America, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Wyatt Russell as Walmart Captain America, Tanak Huerta Meja, I believe I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm so sorry. I'm awful at names. But as Namor, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. Finally, we get, I don't understand where is his sequel? Where is his fucking sequel? He was the best thing that's come since Avengers Infinity War and Spider-Man No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, the White Wolf. Letitia Wright as Shuri and / Black Panther. God, I hope they have her pass the mantle off to M'Baku or somebody else, because I do not like her as Black Panther. And for those of you that are like, want to complain about me not liking her, I don't not like her because she's a woman or anything like that. I would have much rather any of the other females in that movie become Black Panther, because you have the warrior one, I forgot her name, but she plays Michonne on The Walking Dead, who is literally a trained assassin with these incredible martial arts skills. But let's not give it to her. Or you have it to T'Challa's love interest, who is also trained in martial arts skills and being a leader, but let's not give it to her. Then you have M'Baku, who almost was the Black Panther, almost beat T'Challa in a fight, but you're not going to give it to him. You're going to give it to the nerdy sister that has no combat experience. And I get it, from a story standpoint, it's like, well, it's his sister. She loves him and she's going to want to avenge him, but it just doesn't make sense, and I really hope she gives up that mantle. Anyway, let's continue. We have Eben Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm the Thing, Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and this was like the first, oh shit, moment where I was like, oh damn, they're bringing in the original X-Men. We got Louis Pullman as Sentry, which I guess he doesn't die in Thunderbolts. Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, which is the new Falcon. Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. David Harbour as Red Guardian. Winston Duke as M'Baku. This was another one where I was really excited because I love M'Baku. Who doesn't love M'Baku? All the way back to his introduction where he's chanting on his way to battle T'Challa. He is such an iconic character, and you could see that he really loved T'Challa towards the end of that film, and he really respected him, and especially in Wakanda Forever. And I'm really excited to see what he does in the name of honoring T'Challa while fighting off against Doom. Then you got Hannah John Kamen as Ghost. Tom Hiddleston as Loki was another one where I was like, damn, I thought his story arc was kind of finito now that he is like the master of all universes and holding it together, but it makes sense. I would love to see a reunion between him and Chris Hemsworth, who's also in this film, and I really hope we get that because I feel like that would be really heartfelt. And Tom Hiddleston is just amazing as Loki. Who doesn't want to have him back? Patrick Stewart as Professor X and Ian McKellen as Magneto, which aside from Beast, I was like, oh damn, I know I said we were getting the original X-Men back, but they're really giving us the entirety of the original X-Men back. This is going to be awesome to see Professor X and Magneto side by side trying to battle Doom. Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler from X-Men 2, which is one of the greatest opening scenes of a superhero movie ever done, and holy shit, I am excited to see this because, if for no other reason, Alan Cumming talked about how he never wanted to do the role again because he hated getting in the practical makeup. So I have to imagine the story is either that good or they gave him a lot of money. Probably that they gave him a lot of money to come back, but that's really exciting because he was one of the best parts of that film. Rebecca Romijn, I hope I said that right, and she's coming back as Mystique. She was the OG Mystique, and I am really excited to see her back. I'm curious if they're going to go the comic accurate route and give her the costume. Does that mean that we're going to get her in the white dress and not the fully naked version of her? I don't know, but I hope we do. James Marsden as Cyclops was the one for me that got me the most excited. Again, talking about it from the beginning of this video. He got punked hard in those movies. I always wanted to see the comic accurate version of him, the cartoon version of him where he is a leader, he's a badass, he's fighting everybody. He's just a really good character that didn't get justice, and I hope he gets it here, so I'm really excited for him. Then they said Channing Tatum as Gambit, and that got me really excited because he was one of my favorite parts of Deadpool and Wolverine. For those of you who don't know, Channing Tatum was almost Gambit in a live-action Gambit film before Disney bought Fox and canceled the entire Fox universe, and Channing Tatum never got his chance to play Gambit, but it's his favorite superhero of all time. Just like Chad Stahelski loves Blade, Channing Tatum loves Gambit, and it was his dream to play that character, and he was depressed for a long time when that project got canceled because he was pouring his heart into it. And then here comes his friend Ryan Reynolds giving him that chance, although only for like 5 to 10 minutes in Deadpool and Wolverine, but he got an amazing fight scene in that movie and got to portray the character on the big screen when he never originally thought he was going to. And then after the movie, Ryan Reynolds campaigned for him to continue playing Gambit in the MCU. He tried to convince Kevin Feige to bring him on, and here's what happened. I'm going to tell you exactly what went down. He brought this up to Kevin Feige. I'm talking about Ryan Reynolds. So it was like, Channing Tatum was born to play this role. He has the dialect down because that's native born from that area where they have that dialect. It's his favorite superhero. The dude's not a young man, but he's still in his prime. He's in shape. He could play this role. Give it to him. And Kevin Feige was like, look, everyone clearly loved him, but we're doing a new X-Men, and we're skewing younger with the cast. It's going to be all people in their mid to late 20s. That way we can have them for the next 20 years, and they're still in their prime by the end of it. Channing Tatum is in his 40s, and in 20 years he's going to be in his 60s, and Gambit's supposed to be closer to the age of everybody else. But Ryan Reynolds, my new billion-dollar favorite man, we're doing a little movie called Doomsday and Secret Wars. We'll bring him in to be Gambit again in those films. That way he could say he got to be Gambit 3 times, get his own little trilogy within the Avengers films, and then he could pass the baton to a new young person to play Gambit in the X-Men movie when we reboot it with all new cast after Secret Wars, because they're not going to do it for Secret Wars because the whole gimmick of that film is every single superhero under the planet Earth that we've ever laid eyes on is going to be in that movie. The entire original X-Men team, the entire original MCU team, the new MCU team, all of the Sony Spider-Mans, everybody that's anybody is going to be in that film, which is also why I think that we're not getting front-loaded with everybody in Doomsday. So I do truly believe that we are going to get him in both Doomsday and Secret Wars, because why not? Secret Wars, you need literally everybody, and I am really excited about it because he was effing awesome in Deadpool and Wolverine. He even did his own stunts. Come on. All right, now we got Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, which, why wouldn't we? He is the Joker to Doom's Batman. You just need him in a movie like this where they're going to throw down. Then you have Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom. So I remember when this announcement was first coming out, I first sat down to watch it. I was like, okay, I believe they talked about there being 60 people in this new Avengers Doomsday / Secret Wars. So we are going to be sitting here until 9 p.m. at night, whereas the thing started at 11 o'clock in the morning. So once they got to around the 25th chair, I was like, damn, it's only the halfway mark. And then it ends stupidly with the one person that we knew was going to be in the film. Like, the whole entire broadcast of this was stupid. It was successful, but it was stupid. But I kept saying to myself, if it ends with a name that's going to blow our minds, it'll at least make up for it a little bit. Ultimately, I wish that all of the cast came out afterwards and like sat down and like took a photo or did something cool. They showed us a little teaser or concept art or something. But just give us, if you're not going to do that, give us at least one name that's going to blow our effing minds, and it'll be somewhat worth it. And instead, they give us Robert Downey Jr., who we always knew from the jump was going to be in this film, which was ridiculous. But then I started thinking, and I was like, wait a minute, this is the entire cast? There's no Spider-Man? Spider-Man's one of the most important characters. There's no Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, which granted, she said that, she's not going to be in it, but Andrew Garfield said he wasn't going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, and I've just learned to not trust anybody in the Hollywood universe, especially in the MCU, where they are just molded to lie to us about everything. Even down to trailers. They lie in trailers. They film fake stuff to put it in the trailer to throw us off from guessing what's going to happen. So I don't trust that she's not going to be in it. There's no Blade. There's no Chris Evans as Captain America. There's no Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Now, granted, you could say Jeremy Renner had his send-off in the TV show. There's really no reason for him to come back. He is 100% going to come back. But anyway, there's no Hugh Jackman. We get the entire X-Men original cast, but not Hugh Jackman. That seems like a huge missed opportunity. My buddy John is aggressively upset with the cast of this film because on one hand, like, yeah, he, like everybody else, is is excited to see the original X-Men come back and get their time to shine. But this story isn't done justice without the core Avengers in it as well, in terms of Spider-Man, who is his favorite superhero. It's like if I got a Justice League film and Batman's not in it. Like, Batman needs to be in the Justice League, otherwise it is not the Justice League. He is the heart and soul alongside with Superman and Wonder Woman. You need Spider-Man in this. And I was just perplexed that we got stiffed on some of these characters that we've grown to love. Like, yeah, I'm excited about the X-Men cast, but the heart for me is the core Avengers that I grew up over the last 15 years with. The nostalgia is only going to carry this movie so far, but if it's going to feel too gimmicky, like they're only there as the gimmick of nostalgia, there's going to be no heart in this film, and I'm not going to enjoy it as much as I want to. But then I really started thinking, and I started realizing I was doing this thing that I tell myself not to do often, and you should all not do this as well. Do not let your speculation become expectation. On one hand, yes, all fans of comic book movies, of all movies in general, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, The Lord of the Rings, when new things come out, we're going to speculate, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. If I was the director, I would bring this person in, and I would do this story arc, and I would do this, and I would do that. And oh, it's a Doomsday movie with Doom as the villain, so obviously this person threw down with them in the comic this way, so that means that Spider-Man is going to be one to save the day at the end, and if they don't do that, I'm going to be pissed because that's the comic I grew up with. And this is what happens. You start to let your speculation of what you think is going to happen become what you want to happen, and if that thing doesn't happen, you're disappointed. Whereas that's not the way this stuff works. Going all the way back to Avengers, we've had an Avengers establishing comic book before, but the Avengers movie was nothing like it. Go back to Winter Soldier, we had that comic arc, and the movie was really nothing like it. Going back to Civil War, we had a Civil War comic book where Spider-Man was the most crucial part of the entire thing, and in the movie, the heart and soul of it was Iron Man and Captain America. And this is what the MCU does. They take the source material and they adapt it and reimagine it for the big screen, and they make it different. And that's clearly what they're going to do here. And at the end of the day, these filmmakers can only come in and do the best to make a really fun, entertaining film for all of us fans. But they're not mind readers, and they can't appease everybody's wants and desires for what they want to happen in this film. They could just do justice by the source material. And my buddy John is so upset that Spider-Man's not in it that he's not willing to accept this story. And he was like, look, if they made a Justice League movie and Batman wasn't in it, you'd be pretty upset. And yeah, I would. But again, I don't know what's going to happen in this film. But what I do know is that it is out of my control. I am not the writer. I am not the director. If the movie's bad, I have every right to hate it. But I'm not going to automatically hate it because a character isn't in it, because it might still be good and the reason why they're not there might be justified. We only got 25 actors mentioned in the cast. Do I believe that that's it? No, I don't believe that that's it. I believe that they are going to save a bunch of people to be surprises because they want that pop in the audience when somebody shows up that you didn't expect to be there. That's what the MCU has always done in these Avengers films. So yeah, would I like Spider-Man there? Yes. But I'm also going to just go in and accept what the filmmakers give me. For whatever reason, they believe Spider-Man did not need to be in this movie, which means that everything that happens is just gonna lead into Secret Wars, where we're gonna get everybody. You're gonna get a movie with every single person you want in it. It's just, this is the story they need to tell first to get us there. And if they don't think that Spider-Man needs to be there, then I'm gonna trust that. Just like if they made a Justice League movie where maybe Batman isn't there because he's more important in part 2, fine, but then explain to me why Batman's not there. And if you do a good job, then that'll just make it even better when Batman shows up in part 2 and saves the day and starts kicking ass. Same thing with Spider-Man. I have no doubt it's gonna be Spider-Man versus Doom in the second one because he's your most popular superhero facing off against your most popular villain. Probably with the help of Mr. Fantastic, because again, he is the Batman to Doom's Joker. But it got me thinking about this movie and what it could be. And in all honesty, I think that this movie is gonna be 2 parts. I think on one part, obviously Chris Hemsworth's in it and Paul Rudd, and there's gonna be a story arc happening on our Earth where our heroes are realizing that something's happening and they're not gonna understand what's happening, but it's gonna be something to do with the multiverse, and they're trying to race against time to figure it out and stop the world from collapsing or something like that. And the other half of this movie is gonna take place on the universe that the Fantastic Four are in, and in that universe they happen to have a different multiversal version of the X-Men where it's played by the same characters that we saw play them in the original X-Men films, but it's not from that universe that we have seen them in. It's this new one just played by the same characters. And in it, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are trying to stop Doom from ripping a hole in the space-time continuum and merging realities, bringing us to Battle World, where heroes have to face off against villains, or in the newer Secret Wars case, the X-Men versus the Avengers. And I think that that's going to be predominantly what's going on in this film. And then to explain why Spider-Man's not there, I think Spider-Man is going to explain that in the fourth Spider-Man movie, which is the twin towers of these Avengers films. It's Avengers Doomsday, then Spider-Man 4, then Avengers Secret Wars. And it just seems like he is important. He's just not going to be in the Avengers film, and we're going to find out why in Spider-Man 4, and then he's going to be in Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm excited to see a movie that doesn't take place predominantly on our Earth, and it takes place in this Fantastic Four world, because it's going to ground them more and get us more excited to see them in the Avengers films. And I have no doubt that the ending of Fantastic Four is going to set up the events of Doomsday. So I'm not too worried about it. I really do think that they have a great idea here. I don't know what it is, but I'm confident in the Russo brothers doing it because they have had nothing but success in the MCU. I'm excited to see the Fantastic Four and the original X-Men team up to take on this threat. I'm excited to see how Chris Hemsworth and Paul Rudd and some of the other OGs like the Thunderbolts come into play here. Clearly they're going to have their own thing they're going through on our Earth. Clearly we're going to see two separate Earths fighting for their own survival, and eventually, like I said, maybe an X-Men versus Avengers film where our Earth's heroes are supposed to defend their Earth, where the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are supposed to defend their Earth, and whoever fails loses their Earth and loses their home. So it makes them have to fight each other to the death. Obviously, it's not going to be to the death. You know, if we've learned anything from superhero movies, it's that heroes need to fight each other to realize they're on the same side, so that they can then team up and take on the villain. But what would you do if your Earth was at jeopardy, and in order to save it, you had to kill these other Earth's version of heroes? They would be your enemy, and you would fight them. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen. We're going to get a pseudo X-Men versus Avengers in this movie, and that is really exciting. And for all the people that are like, oh, I don't want to see an Avengers versus X-Men where we don't have Cap on the Avengers team and we don't have Wolverine on the X-Men team. And again, I think that they are going to show up. They're just not saying it because they want that moment to happen organically in the film that we don't know about, where the X-Men seem like they're about to lose, and boom, out of nowhere, Logan comes flying in with his claws, and everyone just explodes with excitement. And right before he's about to take out maybe Spider-Man, a shield comes into frame, and it's a multiversal version of Cap that somebody brings in to help aid in the fight. I don't think he's going to have a huge part, but if you don't think that Chris Evans is going to be in this, or at least Secret Wars, you're out of your mind, because he's going to be there. I, for one, am really excited for what they're about to bring us. I'm aware that they are missing a bunch of people. For those of you that are upset about it, fret not. In Secret Wars, we are going to get everybody. Anybody that's ever been a Marvel character under the Sonyverse, Foxverse, the current MCU, they're all going to team up. All different versions and variants are going to come from all over so that we could fill out the roster. We're going to have Cap come back. We're going to have Tony come back. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man at one point and face off against the evil Doom version of himself. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see Tom Holland reluctant to fight Doom because it looks like his pseudo-daddy, Robert Downey Jr. That's going to make for a really heartfelt moment. I am so deliriously excited for these films, and I'm not too worried about what's coming. I'm not too worried about the fact that we're missing characters. Again, they're gonna show up. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you hate this stupidly successful casting announcement the way that I did? Or were you really in love with it? Maybe you had a blast sitting there watching it and speculating for the 12 minutes in between each chair. All art is subjective. We're all gonna take things differently, and I would genuinely love to talk about it with you guys in the comments down below. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and as always, catch you next time.